Well, good morning. We are so excited to join you today to talk to you about what we saw at Scope. Scope was insane, incredible, invigorating, and I've got some friends here who cannot wait to tell you about the cool things that they saw and did at Scope. I am Dr. Shannon Gregg. I'm the president of Cloud Adoption Solutions. We were really pumped to go to Scope because we had so many customers there. And Kelly, who will tell you about our tiny, sore little feet after running around Scope all week, we were just thrilled to see how crazy busy it was, particularly in the exhibit hall, which I think is one of the best things about Scope. So before I introduce my friends, I want to let you know that at the end of our feed today, which you may be joining us live from LinkedIn or from YouTube, hello to all of you. Please feel free to throw some comments. We're reading them as you go along. So I will be happy to ask our friends any questions that you have. One person is going to win a lucky pair of Cloud Adoption Solutions socks, which I know Tara showed up today wearing. And we have an exclusive t-shirt that is Team Cass, really cute, Scope 2025. So somebody who hangs on till the end, I'm going to send that. I'll mail it right to your house today. It will be your Valentine's Day present from me. So Scope was incredible and amazing. It was really packed, you guys. I was astonished at how crowded Scope was and how many people were slippery when I would see them across the hallway and I would run to try to catch up with them. And I just couldn't because it was massively packed. Many people I had this conversation with, how has Scope really grown? And we're seeing that become like the industry conference where I think, years ago, we all knew we would see our friends at DIA. We started out Monday night at the Luau. Tara and I walked in. I don't think we ever made it beyond 10 feet past the entrance because it was so crowded, right, Tara? We were like just standing at the entrance, like welcoming all of our friends. It was so much fun. Loved the luau. Everybody got the vibe. The panel that introduced the conference right before the luau, they were all themed to the hilt. There were lots of really cool companies that did custom luau shirts that had their logos running through it, which I thought was really, really cute. And, everybody was just ready to have a really good time. That was the sort of calm before the storm because the exhibit hall was popping. There were lots of sessions that I'm sure were great, but we had a hard time pulling ourselves away from the exhibit hall, which I do think, and our friend Scott Ballinger agrees, that that's one of the reasons why Scope does so well, because the commercial focus is there. Everyone's curious. You want to learn what everyone else is up to, and that exhibit hall is a beautiful resource room. So really love that. I'm sure our friends are going to tell you a little bit more about it. So I've got some people with me that are going to give you their unique perspective on Scope. And the first one I'm going to start with is my friend Rick Ward, who did what I think is one of the coolest, most memorable things that a person has ever done to stand out at a conference, marrying their personal passion with their professional group. Rick, welcome. I'm so happy to see you today.
Thanks, Shannon. No, I appreciate the invitation. And yes, I can only assume you're talking about the pickleball clinic that we hosted on the Monday, just a few hours before the luau kicked off. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's something I actually started a few years back on a smaller scale during my time at Clue Points. And having joined Creo as the chief commercial officer this past fall, one of the first things I talked about with the marketing team and my former marketing friends at Clue Points was, let's keep this pickleball thing going and maybe let's take it to a new level at Scope 2025. So we reached out to folks that had participated in the past. We reached out to folks that had not participated and just put an invitation out there and said, whether you've ever played pickleball or you're just a little curious, come out. And it was really a terrific networking opportunity for folks to kind of just get out there in a social situation and get to know each other a bit more. And it was also a lot of fun. And there was quite a few people that said, not only am I going to come back to the Creo pickleball clinic next year, but I'm going to get a paddle and when I go home and, maybe start playing a little bit. So it was really a lot of fun. It was warm and we had a great turnout, and it was a nice way to kick off the whole week, even before the luau came along.
That's amazing, Rick. So you started a movement, it sounds like to me. So, how are you going to outdo that next year at Scope? You're going to come with, pickleball shirts, branded pickleball paddles. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've got a few ideas. I have sort of proclaimed myself as the pickleball liaison for the clinical research industry. So now I've got a responsibility to keep spreading the word.
Dare we call it Rickleball?
I have to call Pickle Rick by my colleagues. So you gotta deal with what comes along when you introduce these ideas.
That's amazing. I love it. Rick, tell us a little bit about the exhibit hall. So tell us about your experience. I know that you had 2 jam-packed days because every time I tried to see you, I couldn't.
Yeah, I've been going to the Scope Clinic for many years since it was a much smaller conference, and the concept from day one was great, and it's really caught on. I think it really has taken the forefront in terms of the premier event for clinical operations first and foremost, obviously that in the name, but other folks, data management, regulatory, other folks that have invested in the process of clinical research show up and participate. We at CREO find it to be the best conference for us for the year, along with maybe the Site Solution Summit for part of our community as well. And this year was terrific. It was probably the busiest I've seen the exhibit hall. We had a fairly large team there for a company our size, and folks were busy all through the 2 days. And I do agree with what you said earlier. It is one of those conferences where the attendees don't just swing through the exhibit hall to pick up a couple of tchotchkes. They're often there with sincere curiosity. What's the latest within the service providers and technology providers that are supporting our industry? And so we end up having really meaningful conversations. And we've been quite busy since we got back from Orlando, following up on the conversations we've had and keeping those discussions going.
I absolutely love that, Rick. One of the things that when you think about a show like Scope, there's so much prep work that goes into it, making sure you're getting meetings ahead of time, that your presence is there, and then the follow-up afterwards. And I know from my end how busy that makes your CRM and how important your processes and systems are. And I can only imagine your team has just been running all week trying to keep up with the follow-up.
Absolutely. But that's why we went there. So it was a good investment, and I'm very fortunate. The team we have is terrific, and our client community is fantastic, highly engaged. So all around good experience.
Love that. Fantastic. Speaking of team, I see Brooke is on saying good morning. If anybody has any questions for Rick, throw them in before I wrap up today. I will pull up some questions, but I want to say hi to Dorothy and Sam and Anna and Andrew, who are all saying hello in the comments. One of my favorite things about StreamYard is we can watch the comments coming through from LinkedIn specifically. Anybody that's joining us from YouTube, sorry, I don't know what you guys are saying, but I hope it's great as well. Tara, I'm so excited to hear about your perspective from Scope, knowing that you are a former keynote speaker for this conference. It's a little bit like having a celebrity on with us today.
Yeah.
Good morning, my friend.
Well, my picture was on the website once, so I guess, that's my highest celebrity status so far to date. Still trying to get to Hollywood, though. We'll see. But, so I've been a longtime scoper, even from my days on the sponsor side, attending from that perspective. It has grown a ton. I was a speaker back then on a number of topics as well. So to see the growth that they've continued to have and the community support from, what Rick is saying, sponsors, industry, vendors, regulators, all of that has been amazing. And they make it really fun. We all go to a lot of conferences. They're not as fun as Scope. It's nice that we can, go to Florida in early February. So typically the weather is nice. So you can now have your pickleball clinic. I have been there, though. It's been a little chilly, but I actually watched your pickleball video, Rick, yesterday. Came up in my feed, and I had a little FOMO. I'm not going to lie. I did not make that.
That's amazing. Tara, tell us, because I know we were observing you constantly in meetings. So tell us a little bit about your strategy. How did you prep for Scope when you decided that you were going to go?
Yeah, so I embarked on a new adventure in January with eClinical Solutions. So a little bit different side of the world that I've been on previously. My past 6-7 years have been very much on the patient technology side and global sero delivery side. So now very focused on our ultimate goal, which is the collection of data and ensuring appropriate collection of data, what that data journey is, what that data integrity is for ultimately getting our products approved at the end of the day. So this year our company decided not to have a booth just because of some priority shifts and things of that nature. I probably or hopefully have some influence over that in the next year, because I do feel we should have a strong presence there. But several of us went anyway. Yeah, it was extremely busy. Even though you may not be able to have a booth presence, you certainly have the opportunity to set up meetings, and the way the conference is set up, ample opportunity to set up camp and set up demos, have informal meetings, set up dinners or lunches. So yes, my feet were very tired. I don't think I saw you all the entire day, because I left in the morning and didn't come home until the evening. But excuse me. Yeah, so very productive regardless. And I was able to pop into a number of sessions as well, just to get some industry perspective in the areas that are near and dear to me.
That's always critical too. I think planning out, which are the sessions that you really want to get into, because we're always on the run. We don't have very much time to sit down and say, let's take the pulse of the industry, other than what we're hearing from our clients,
Yeah.
sponsors, CROs, whatever they're putting out there. So that's critical. I was telling Rick right before we went live that last night I was teaching my advanced professional selling class, and I was talking about the importance of prepping for a trade show or conference and then doing your follow-up afterwards. And if you don't do that, what's the point? And so every time I ran past you, Tara, and I saw you engaged with a group of people, I was like, wow, there is a person who really prepped and planned and maximized every single minute of her day at Scope.
Yes, it's definitely a dance. We used to laugh, like, get your dance card out, and it definitely, you're shifting and moving, and you're 5 minutes late for this and got to move this person over here. So it is exhilarating. And I think because it is one of the largest, first conferences of the year, really sets the tone for the year. And as everyone kind of wants to get that pulse on the industry as we kick off for the year. 2024 was, definitely a little tough for some folks, and we didn't see the study starts, and a lot of shifting around the industry going into 2025. It's some cautious optimism. We have a lot of factors at play here in terms of just funding and politically and all of those sorts of things. So I think everyone's coming in very positive but cautious. With that mindset, we have new guidelines that have come out. So with ICH, so a lot at play as we open up the year. But overall, I think the excitement is there. A lot of new things in the industry happening to keep up with.
Love that, Tara. Thanks. And you're exactly right. There was definitely a mood of exuberance. So that was really cool to see. I mean, everybody did feel so happy and excited, and definitely a different feeling than we felt last year and the end of 2023, which was not cautiously optimistic. It did not feel anywhere near as fun and exciting. So that's thrilling. Everybody who's joining us, if you want to put any questions for Tara or Rick in the comments, or tell us what other shows you're going to this year, because I'm definitely going to ask Rick and Tara that before we wrap up today. But my last observational participant is my friend Kelly Spalding. Kelly and I have a similar career path where we worked in the eClinical space. She worked for a CRO at the same time I worked for a CRO, and then we both moved over into Salesforce consulting. So Kelly, I can't wait to hear what your perspective is on how the Scope show was.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. It was great. Shannon, as you know, one of my paths when I came out of clinical trials, being a technologist at heart, was I was really, when I went into the life sciences space, there is a latency between technology adoption and what happens in that space. But that's to be expected, right? Because of the regulatory issues that come into place, as well as just the different data silos. So, it's one of those things that I knew that there would be no lack of work probably ever, based on the fact that it's a big job trying to deal with those layer of complexities. And I have to say, this Scope conference was really exciting because what I got to see was a couple of different themes play out in like patient engagement and recruitment, which is always a big thing. Like that's always the big driver, but like the new things that have kind of moved into that space to help drive those initiatives. Leveraging technology and systems, which is near and dear to my heart for obvious reasons, and especially the way AI is now looking at being leveraged. And then clinical trial diversity, which, since the different regulations as far as what that's about has come into play, now it's not just an awareness around it, but what businesses actually have strategies and what their strategies are. It was really exciting getting to talk to those people out on the floor who were like, nope, now we're not just going to talk about it in awareness. This is what we're actually doing. These are the steps that we're taking to actually drive people into these clinical trials for marginalized communities. So it was super exciting for me.
I love it. And I know that you were busy all week. There were meetings happening left and right. It's almost like when you enter Scope, you enter a totally different time. So I think that is a wild and incredible thing. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. Cool. Well, we are close to wrapping here. We've got a little bit of a background noise I'm seeing in comments. Somebody's entered Stranger Things, I think. We're in the underground. So listen, I want to hear really quick before we go. Rick, what shows can we expect to see you at this year?
Yeah, we're going to be at quite a few conferences this year. I mean, some of the larger ones include the Society for Clinical Research Sites, their Site Solution Summit, which is towards the end of the year. We'll go to some more specific sort of data management focused conferences like SCDM, which is around the same time of year. A handful of things like OCT conferences, probably DPharm in the fall. We may not have a booth at DIA, but we'll certainly be there. I think for us, the big differentiator is not just going to conferences that have a lot of attendees or even conferences that have the right profile of attendees. We're really looking to be at conferences where you find those change agents, those champions, those people who are visionaries, and they're not always the most senior level executives at pharma. Sometimes they're at all different levels in different departments. And I've been fortunate enough over the years to have been one of the early members of the Greenfire team, where clinical payments was sort of mainstream. Same thing most recently at CluePoints, to the rise of RBQM use in our industry. And now at Creo with this concept of central e-source, which is foreign to a lot of the industry, which is why we just don't want to go to conferences that have a lot of people, but we want to connect with those people that are really sincerely looking for ways to improve clinical research, that are open-minded, that want to hear about and pressure test these solutions and find a way to do things better. And so Scope certainly is one of those, and some of those other conferences we'll be going to. That's who we're looking to talk to, are people that are in it for more than just sort of like going through the motions, but really passionately engaged with improving the way that their organizations work and the way that we conduct research.
I love that, Rick. Something I know about you is you've always been a big champion of finding the talent where it is and listening to the voices where they are. And so I'm glad that you pointed that out. We will see you at a few of those shows. So excited to hear that you are really hitting the road this year. Tara, what about you? Where are we going to see you this year?
Yeah, so in the same vein as Rick mentioned, eClinical is also a technology. They were on the forefront over 12 years ago, anticipating the amount of data that was going to be coming into a given clinical trial, and all of the millions and millions of data points, and being on the forefront of that, and creating a framework and a structure and analytics and process around that. Obviously we're in the same, discussion points with clients and clients that want to modernize their trials, that, status quo is not working. Spreadsheets, are just not fitting the bill anymore for, in compliance with ICH guidelines of taking control of your data. Really those data focused conferences, Fuse, SCDM, ACDM. We also will be at DFARM, DIA, the regular ones that we'll see in the fall. And then we hold our own user group called Engage in the fall, which is just a compilation of a lot of our users already, big pharma, mid-sized pharma, small biotech, and really hearing from the community of how they're using our product and where they want to see it go.
I love that. That's awesome, Tara. Thinking about data, I can distinctly remember being at a sales meeting with you and Amy Furlong presenting to us, talking about data and where all the data is. And, that was back in the days that big data was the buzzword that you would see in magazines. And it's wild to see how many companies were, thinking about that, but so many have activated it in different ways. And so I love that. Very exciting. Well, I will speak for Kelly and myself when I tell you that we've got a Life Sciences Roadshow, Life Sciences Dream and Roadshow that's going to go along with, we'll be at BioIT, we'll be at SCRS, we'll be at DFARM. We've got a little, sort of arrangement of cities that we'll be at. So if you aren't already subscribed to the Life Sciences Dream website, please go pop your email address in there and we'll make sure that you know everything that is coming. So that we can make sure that we see you when we're at these events, or at least see past you like we did with Rick and Tara all week, which is, we know you're here and we're going to catch you next week on the flip side. I am so pleased that you guys joined us today to give your download of Scope. Anybody who's watching and didn't go, you've got to put this event on your calendar, even if you come as an observer, somebody that is just trying to plan out what their approach should be, because there's something for everyone there. Do better than Tara and Kelly and I did and get there a day earlier so that you can go to Rick's pickleball tournament, because that looked absolutely spectacular. What a beautiful way to start off the week that isn't golf. Nothing against golf, but pickleball is a little bit more social, a little bit more fun and inclusive. So love that you're doing that. Keep thinking big, everybody. And I just got a message coming through that said, our t-shirt and sock winner is Anna Blackburn. So Anna, send me a message on LinkedIn. Anybody who isn't already connected to me on LinkedIn, please connect to me, Shannon Gregg, connect to Rick Ward, connect to Tara Shingler, and connected to Kelly Spaulding. We're so happy that we started our day off with you, and we hope that you have a wonderful week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.